God says the message arrives at the edge of dusk, when the air becomes heavier with possibility and the world seems to wait for someone brave enough to open what others would ignore. It appears quietly, yet it carries the weight of a divine whisper. A millionaire's last wish names only you. They are making you the owner of S, and heaven itself seems to lean closer as if this moment were meant to reshape everything you once believed about your worth, your destiny, your future. Do not ignore this. Please, please, open it before 9 p.m. It's urgent not because time is running out in the world outside, but because time is ripening inside of you. There are moments in life when hesitation becomes a thief, when doubt becomes a chain, when humility becomes camouflage for fear. But this moment is not one of them. This moment is a summons. You feel something stirring even before the message fully sinks in. A mix of surprise, disbelief, curiosity, a tremor of hope. It feels almost surreal. Why you? Why your name and no one else's? Why would someone with a fortune, someone whose influence shaped industries or built empires, choose you as the sole inheritor of Esta, whatever S is, whatever S stands for, however powerful or life-changing it might be? But the real question is not why they chose you. The real question is, why not you? Because for so long you have walked through life underestimating the quiet power that lives inside you. The resilience that kept you going when the world expected you to fall, the intuition that guided you even when you weren't listening carefully enough to it. God says the time has come to stop shrinking. Stop thinking small. Stop believing that blessings are meant for everyone except you. Maybe you don't yet know what S truly represents. Maybe it's not just a company. Maybe it's not just property, not just wealth, not just an empire built from ambition and sweat. Maybe it is an inheritance of purpose. Maybe it is a responsibility. Maybe it is a key to unlock a version of yourself you've never met before. Because there are gifts that don't just change your life, they transform you into someone who realizes life was always waiting for you to rise. You sit with the message, holding it like a fragile truth. The room around you seems still, as if the world stopped spinning for a second just so you could breathe in the meaning of these words. A millionaire's last wish. A final desire spoken from a mind that has seen peaks and valleys, from a heart that has navigated storms, from a soul that reached the end of its earthly journey and decided that all they had built, all they had valued, all they had collected, should be placed into your hands. There is honor in that. But more than honor, there is responsibility, because every blessing carries direction, every gift carries a purpose, and every inheritance carries a lesson. God says opportunities come wrapped in strange timing. They arrive when you're unsure, when you feel too tired, when you're busy doubting yourself, when life seems routine or overwhelming or dull. But God does not choose the perfect moment. He chooses the destined one. And destiny cares little for convenience. Destiny is a gentle hand pressing on your back, urging you forward even when you hesitate. Destiny is a voice inside you that whispers, "You were meant for more," long before any evidence appears in your external life. And today, that whisper becomes a declaration. You wonder what this millionaire saw in you. Perhaps they saw your kindness, the kind that goes unnoticed by many but witnessed by those who matter. Maybe they saw your resilience. That quiet flame that refuses to go out even in the fiercest storm. Maybe they saw potential you've never dared to believe in. Or maybe they saw themselves in you, their younger version, the hungry dreamer they once were before success hardened or softened them in unexpected ways. And in recognizing that spark, they decided to nurture it with their final act. But whether they saw your greatness or simply trusted divine guidance, the result is the same: you are the one chosen. Not because you begged for it. Not because you demanded it. Not because you forced fate's hand. But because something in the universe aligned with precision and purpose to bring this moment to your door. God says not every calling arrives with fanfare. Sometimes it comes quietly, disguised as a message you could easily dismiss. Sometimes it comes disguised as a task, a responsibility, or something that seems too heavy for the person you believe yourself to be. But listen closely, God does not give burdens, He gives missions. And He equips the souls He chooses. The sun outside dips lower, and 9 p.m. inches closer. There is something symbolic about the time limit. It reminds you that opportunities do not wait forever. The world turns, the hours pass, and some doors open only once. Not to punish you, but to awaken you. There are moments when hesitation robs you of miracles. There are moments when faith, even the smallest seed of it, unlocks blessings beyond imagination. So breathe. Let yourself feel everything: excitement, fear, gratitude, confusion. All of it is valid. All of it proves you are alive in a moment that matters. Perhaps S stands for something grand, maybe a corporation, a legacy business, a mansion, a foundation, a hidden fortune. Or maybe S is more symbolic than material. Maybe it stands for strength. Maybe it stands for second chance. Maybe it stands for success, spirit, service, self-discovery, or something greater than you know right now. But regardless of what S physically is, what it represents spiritually is an expansion of your life. You begin to realize this moment is not about wealth or power. It is about becoming the person who can steward such blessings with wisdom, grace, and courage. It is about confronting the part of yourself that doubts you are worthy. The part of yourself that plays small. The part that believes miracles happen to other people. But today, God says the miracle is yours. You think back on your life, the struggles you overcame silently, the nights you couldn't sleep because your mind was filled with worry, the days you went through the motions while carrying invisible battles, the times you supported others while having no one to lean on yourself. There were moments when you felt forgotten. Moments when you felt unseen. Moments when you questioned whether life had anything extraordinary in store for you. But today proves something powerful: you were never unseen. You were being prepared, strengthened, seasoned, sharpened. Every moment that broke you was carving space inside you for something bigger. Every challenge deepened your capacity. Every disappointment redirected you. And every quiet victory made you ready. This inheritance, this final wish, this unexpected blessing, it is not random. It is the result of everything you survived. You begin to see yourself differently. You begin to realize that perhaps God chose you through this millionaire's last breath not because you are perfect, but because you are growing. Not because you already know what to do, but because you are willing to learn. Not because you hold the answers, but because you carry heart. God says you underestimate the magnitude of your spirit. You carry a quiet power that influences others more than you know. You have a way of bringing light into rooms, of lifting people without even trying, of listening in ways that heal. And that matters. Wealth recognizes that. Destiny recognizes that. Heaven recognizes that. It is time for you to recognize it too. You begin to imagine what life could look like after you open the message fully. You imagine stepping into a place where abundance meets purpose, where responsibility meets opportunity. You imagine yourself holding the reins of leading it with clarity, compassion, and courage. You imagine the people whose lives you could change simply by embracing this gift. The jobs you could create, the communities you could uplift, the innovations you could bring into the world. The version of yourself you could become, and slowly, you understand that is not just a gift. It is a calling. A doorway. A destiny, but God says something else, something deeper. Do not let fear make decisions for you. For too long, fear has been louder than faith. Fear tells you you're not ready. Fear tells you you're not capable. Fear tells you you're not deserving. But fear is a liar. Fear is the ghost of old wounds, not the voice of truth. Faith, however, whispers differently. Faith says that if this has come to you, it is meant for you. Faith says that God does not send opportunities without support. Faith says that blessings arrive with timing, not coincidence. Faith says you were chosen for a reason larger than your understanding. You feel the shift happening within you. It is subtle but unmistakable. You begin to accept that life might not be as random as you once thought. You begin to believe that maybe, just maybe, you are stepping into your season of elevation. The clock keeps ticking, but instead of pressure, you feel purpose. Instead of anxiety, you feel anticipation. The world outside grows darker as night approaches, but inside you, something glows brighter, a sense of certainty. A readiness, a willingness to step into the unknown. You realize that opening the message before 9 p.m. is not a deadline, it is an initiation. A ritual of faith. God says this is your moment. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. You stand taller than you did when the message first arrived. You feel strength where weakness once lived. You feel clarity where confusion used to linger. You feel destiny pulling you forward like a tide that cannot be resisted. You open the message, not just with your hands, but with your heart. And in doing so, you open yourself to the possibility that life can change in a single evening, with a single decision, with a single whisper from God. This is not just the beginning of a new chapter. This is the beginning of a new self, a self that believes, a self that receives, a self that rises, a self that leads, a self that finally understands. You were chosen. You were meant for this. And nothing will stop what is already yours. When the message opens fully before you, there is a strange stillness in the air, as though time itself inhales and holds its breath. The pages, whether physical or digital or symbolic, feel heavier than paper, as if carrying decades of someone's dreams, regrets, triumphs, and prayers. The words are simple, almost too simple for what they mean. My final wish is that everything connected to us goes to you. And beneath the text, a signature you recognize faintly, not because you knew this millionaire personally, but because their name once floated through conversations, news headlines, or stories of success whispered among those who admired ambition from afar. Yet you never imagined that your life would intersect with theirs in a way that would alter the very trajectory of your future. You read the sentence again, slower this time, allowing every syllable to land. The weight of responsibility mixes with a rising sense of destiny, and you feel something unusual, an electric stirring in your spirit, as if heaven is nodding in approval. God says this moment is not an accident. Every thread of your life has been quietly weaving itself toward this point, even when you felt lost, even when you felt small, even when you questioned whether you mattered in a world so vast and indifferent. But God does not forget those He shapes in silence. He does not lose track of souls who walk through shadows with faith still flickering in their hands. Perhaps that is why you were chosen, not because you shouted the loudest, not because you forced your way into rooms, not because you chased after recognition, but because you carried humility in your heart even when life tested you beyond measure. There are people who rise through noise, but there are also people who rise through grace. And grace brought you here. As you absorb the meaning of the message, memories resurface one by one, like fragments of a past that suddenly carry new significance. The nights you stayed awake imagining a better future even when there was no evidence one was coming. The mornings you dragged yourself forward despite exhaustion burying your spirit. The setbacks that left scars but also wisdom. The losses that pushed you to rebuild yourself from the inside out. All those moments shaped the person standing here now. A person not defined by struggle but sculpted by it. A person who can hold blessings without letting them slip between trembling fingers. A person who knows the value of what is given because you knew the weight of having nothing. God says this is why the inheritance came to you and not someone else. You understand the worth of responsibility. You understand the power of compassion. You understand how to lead not from ego but from empathy. And that is rare, precious, divine. As the evening deepens, you feel the presence of something invisible yet comforting. It almost feels like the millionaire themselves is whispering through the unseen, guiding you, acknowledging you, and trusting you with the culmination of their life's work. You wonder what they were like behind the public persona. You imagine a person who worked tirelessly, who built from scratch, who climbed through failures, who sacrificed comfort for vision. You imagine someone who saw the world from mountaintops but also felt the loneliness that often comes with great success. People like that do not choose lightly. Their final act carries intention. Maybe they saw in you the spark they once had. Maybe they saw the heart they wished they had protected better in themselves. Maybe they saw the potential they once chased. Maybe they believed you would finish something they could not. Or maybe, in their final days, they sought someone who would treat their legacy not as a treasure to hoard but as a chance to do good. You begin to understand that S is not merely an inheritance, it is a story you are being invited into. A story that began long before you, but now continues through you. You become the next chapter, the next guardian, the next visionary. But God says something deeper now, something stirring like thunder beneath calm skies. This moment is not about receiving. It is about remembering who you are meant to become. Because destiny does not arrive fully formed. It arrives as an invitation. Fear tries to speak again, whispering doubts. What if you fail? What if you're not ready? What if they made a mistake choosing you? But something stronger inside you rises in response, not arrogance, not false confidence, but truth. The truth that survival has already made you strong. That struggle has made you wise. That pain has made you compassionate. And that faith has made you resilient. You whisper to yourself, I can do this. And strangely, you believe it, not because life has always been kind, but because you have always found a way to endure. Outside your window, the sky darkens, but inside, a light begins to bloom in your chest. You realize that this is not a turning point. It is an awakening. A reminder that the universe is far more intricate, purposeful, and interconnected than you ever allowed yourself to believe. That every person you ever helped quietly, every moment you chose kindness over bitterness, every time you lifted someone without asking for anything in return, contributed to the energy that brought this blessing to your doorstep. God says nothing given in love is ever lost. It circles back. It returns multiplied. It becomes the seed for miracles. You feel gratitude swelling within you, deep, overwhelming, almost sacred. Gratitude for the millionaire who trusted you. Gratitude for the timing. Gratitude for the divine orchestration that placed you exactly where you needed to be. Gratitude for the version of yourself who refused to give up even when the world felt heavy. you begin to imagine what stepping into this new phase of your life will look like. The choices you will have to make. The strength you will need to cultivate. The wisdom you will have to embody. You see yourself standing in places once beyond reach, surrounded by opportunities once invisible. You see yourself growing into a leader who doesn't command fear, but inspires courage. You see yourself opening doors for others the way this door has opened for you. God says this is your season of expansion. Your season of rising. Your season of stepping boldly into the life that has been waiting quietly for you to catch up to your purpose. And now that you've opened the message, there is no going back. Not because you are trapped, but because you are transformed. Something inside you has shifted permanently. The person you were this morning no longer exists in the same way. You carry a new awareness, a new sense of destiny, a new fire that flickers behind your eyes. You are becoming someone who walks with purpose. Someone who does not let fear dictate their choices. Someone who knows that blessings require courage, and courage requires faith, and faith requires trust in the unseen. The night grows deeper, but you feel lighter. The silence around you is no longer empty. It is full of possibilities. You feel surrounded not by darkness but by a gentle, guiding presence. God says you are not alone in this. You will be led, supported, strengthened, inspired. Every step of the way. And as your heart settles into this truth, another thought emerges slowly, quietly, beautifully. Maybe this is not just a gift to you. Maybe this is a gift through you. Maybe the world is about to change because you finally said yes to your destiny. You sit there for a long moment after reading the message, letting the silence breathe around you like a warm companion. There is a strange peacefulness now, as if your spirit has settled into a truth it always suspected but never dared to articulate. You were meant for something extraordinary. Not in a loud, flashy way. Not in a way that demands attention or applause. But in a way that aligns with the soul-level calling you've carried since childhood, the quiet knowing that your path would eventually diverge from the ordinary. As this realization roots itself deeper, you feel a soft but steady surge of courage. It is not explosive or dramatic, more like a gentle tide rising with purpose. You feel it at the base of your spine, moving upward, filling you with a sense of grounded certainty. The kind of certainty that does not rely on evidence. The kind that comes from intuition, destiny, and divine orchestration. God says the world has been preparing space for you long before you even knew there was a place being carved. And now that you have stepped into it, you will begin to see signs, subtle, powerful, impossible to ignore, that everything in your life has been aligning for this transition. People will enter your path with wisdom, opportunities will unfold like blooming petals, and doors will open that once seemed sealed shut. Not because you forced them, but because you have stepped into the frequency of your purpose. Your phone buzzes lightly, pulling you from your thoughts. Maybe it is confirmation. Maybe it is further instructions. Maybe it is simply the universe reminding you that life will soon move at a pace you've never experienced before. But even before checking, you feel something important. You are ready. The readiness is not loud, but deep. A readiness that comes from our quietest wounds, our strongest lessons, our deepest strength. You rise and walk around the room, feeling energy shifting in ways you cannot explain. Your heartbeat feels different, not anxious, not heavy, but purposeful. You think of all the nights you whispered prayers into the dark, hoping someone, or something, was listening. Tonight feels like an answer. A culmination. The moment where all your whispered hopes finally found their way back to you. As you breathe in deeply, you feel gratitude expanding in your chest. Gratitude not just for the inheritance but for the transformation. Gratitude for the clarity replacing confusion. Gratitude for the fire replacing fear. You realize something else too. This inheritance is not only meant to elevate your life but to heal parts of it. To rewrite old narratives. To challenge the limiting beliefs engraved in your heart. To prove wrong every voice, internal or external, that ever told you you weren't enough. God says you are stepping into a season where good things will no longer feel temporary. Where blessings will no longer feel like accidents. Where love, success, opportunities, and abundance will no longer feel like fleeting moments but stable foundations. This is the season where what you build will last. You walk toward the window, looking out at the night sky. The stars feel strangely brighter, as if they are paying attention, as if they are celebrating you. And perhaps they are, because the universe loves when someone chooses faith over fear, destiny over doubt, purpose over hesitation. Every star seems to echo the same truth. You are meant for this. Your thoughts drift to the millionaire, this mysterious force whose final wish intertwined with your fate. You imagine their last days. Perhaps filled with introspection and reflection, thinking about the legacy they would leave behind. And in those quiet, sacred moments, they thought of you. There is a strange beauty to that thought, a cosmic connection you didn't know existed. You wonder if they saw a part of themselves in you. A fire. A hunger. A quiet resilience. Maybe they recognized the spark of someone who would not hoard the legacy but honor it. Someone who would not shrink from responsibility but rise with grace. Someone who would not see the inheritance as the end of the road but as the beginning of a new, transformative journey. God says sometimes your blessings are shaped by people you've never met, people who prayed for your success without you even knowing. People who saw your potential from afar. The world whispers your name in rooms you've never entered. That is how destiny works, silently, intricately, intentionally. You turn back from the window, and it hits you. You are no longer living the life you lived this morning. Even if you have not yet taken a single physical step forward, internally, the shift is monumental. Deep within, something has awakened. something unstoppable, something ancient and divine. You walk back to the message and read it again, this time not with shock, but with acceptance. The kind of acceptance that feels like aligning with the version of yourself you were always meant to become. The version who knows their worth. The version who claims their blessings. The version who steps into opportunities without hesitation. Your hand rests gently on the screen or page, and you whisper something softly, maybe a prayer, maybe a promise, maybe a thank you. And in that small gesture, you seal your intention. You are ready, ready to step forward, ready to become more, ready to embody the destiny that has called your name. God says your life is shifting from surviving to thriving. The universe echoes your awakening. Destiny smiles. And deep inside, a voice you haven't heard in years whispers confidently, "This is your time." The night grows deeper, but instead of dimming your spirit, it sharpens your awareness. You can feel the shift in your life as clearly as a change in the wind, subtle yet undeniable. Something inside you whispers that after tonight, nothing will ever feel the same again, because the moment you accept destiny, destiny begins moving toward you with a force that cannot be stopped. You sit again, calmer than before, but with a current of energy humming beneath your skin. It feels almost like anticipation, but not the nervous kind. This is anticipation born from alignment, the sense that you are finally stepping into the life your soul recognized long before your mind could understand it. God says there are moments when faith becomes the bridge between who you were and who you are meant to be. You are standing at that bridge now, not as a wanderer, but as someone who has been called. The inheritance is just the symbol, the true transformation is happening inside you. Your phone lights up with a soft glow. You check it, and it isn't a new message, but a reminder you set earlier in the day for something trivial, something that now feels as if it belongs to a completely different timeline. You smile faintly, realizing how small your earlier concerns seem now. Perspective shifts everything. When destiny knocks, the petty things fall away on their own. You lean back, closing your eyes. For a moment, you just breathe. Inhale purpose. Exhale doubt. Inhale clarity. Exhale fear. Every breath feels like preparation, like your body is grounding itself for the path ahead. You realize that even if the world doesn't change instantly, you have. And that internal shift is the first miracle. The most important one. God says transformation begins internally long before the external world reflects it. And you feel that truth unfolding within you. Your mind starts to envision what stepping into S might look like. Not just the physical spaces, offices, properties, documents, but the responsibility of it. The magnitude of trust given to you. The opportunity to shape something meaningful, lasting, bigger than your own story. You imagine what tomorrow might hold. Meetings. Calls. New faces. 1,000 decisions waiting for you. But instead of anxiety, you feel a quiet excitement. You feel capable. You feel chosen. You feel strengthened by something higher than yourself. As your thoughts flow, a memory surfaces, an old one, long buried. A moment when someone once dismissed your potential. Maybe they laughed at your dreams. Maybe they told you that you would never amount to anything. Maybe they underestimated you simply because you weren't loud, or wealthy, or privileged, or known. And now, standing in the center of this moment, that memory no longer hurts. It feels like a prophecy finally breaking. A chain snapping. A lie dissolving in the light of truth. God says this is your vindication, not through revenge, not through proving anything to anyone, but through rising into the fullness of who you truly are. Destiny is the loudest answer to doubt. You open your eyes again, and the room looks different, not because anything has physically changed, but because you have changed. The air feels filled with possibility. The walls feel less constraining. Even the darkness outside seems softer, like a canvas waiting to be painted with the light of the life you are about to build. You walk slowly, thoughtfully, grounding yourself in your surroundings. Your footsteps feel more rooted. Your presence feels larger. You are no longer simply existing, you are becoming. A gentle thought crosses your mind. What if this moment was always meant to find me? Not by chance, not by coincidence, but by divine design. What if every heartbreak, every struggle, every delay, every disappointment was positioning you for this elevation? God says the things that once felt like detours were actually divine navigation. You were never lost. You were being guided. The thought brings a warmth to your heart. You feel seen, not by the world, not by society, not by strangers, but by something sacred. Something eternal. Something that knows you deeply and believes in your worth more fiercely than you ever have. You sit again, the message still open in front of you. Your name written there feels powerful. Sacred. Like a signature of fate. You trace it with your eyes slowly, allowing yourself to feel the magnitude of being chosen, and then your mind shifts to the future, the kind of future where you no longer shrink to fit into old versions of yourself. The kind of future where your dreams are not postponed but pursued. The kind of future where you wake up with purpose. With clarity, with gratitude, you realize that accepting this inheritance is also an acceptance of your own evolution. God says you were not chosen for this because you are perfect. You were chosen because you are ready. Ready in spirit, ready in character, ready in humility, ready in strength. You think about who you will become in the months ahead. Someone wiser. Someone bolder. Someone more aligned. Someone who leads not with ego, but with heart. Someone who honors the gift by becoming the best version of themselves. A question rises softly inside you. What will I do with this blessing? Your answer comes quietly but firmly. I will grow. I will serve. I will rise. And the moment you form that thought, something shifts around you, as if the universe acknowledges your vow. As if heaven nods in approval. As if destiny says, yes. This is exactly why you were chosen. The night deepens, and the world grows quieter, but inside you, something is just beginning. The night settles like a soft blanket around you, but instead of feeling heavy, the darkness feels complete, whole, comforting. It feels like the universe has wrapped you in quiet confirmation. You stand at the edge of a pivotal moment, aware now of the vastness of what has been placed in your hands, but also aware of something even greater, the truth of who you are becoming. You take one last look at the message, not with disbelief anymore but with a sense of peace. The shock has melted into acceptance, the questioning into clarity, the uncertainty into purpose. You close the message gently, not as someone ending a story, but as someone beginning their own. God says some journeys do not start with steps, they start with realization. Tonight, you have crossed an invisible threshold that separates your past from your future. You have embraced the calling that was waiting quietly for you, like a door you were always meant to walk through. The room around you feels different now, warmed by the glow of new beginnings. Nothing has moved, yet everything has changed. You feel lighter, yet grounded. You feel expanded, yet centered. You feel humbled, yet empowered. That is the paradox of destiny. It lifts you without inflating you. It strengthens you without hardening you. It chooses you without demanding perfection. You walk to the window one last time, watching the night sky stretch endlessly above. Every star seems alive with possibility, as if winking encouragement, as if whispering that the world is ready for the version of you that is rising now. You breathe in deeply, and the air tastes like potential. In that quiet stillness, you feel the presence of the one who left their legacy to you. Not as a ghost, not as a shadow, but as a blessing. You sense gratitude in the air, not just yours, but theirs. Gratitude that their life's work has been placed in hands that will honor it. Gratitude that their last act was one of faith. Gratitude that their story will continue because you will continue it. You say a silent thank you, not forced, not formal, but sincere. It floats into the night like a soft thread of light. Then something beautiful happens inside you. You feel a closing and an opening at the same time. The closing of the chapter where you doubted yourself, questioned your worth, and dimmed your light. And the opening of a chapter where you walk with purpose, speak with conviction, and live with intention. God says your life is shifting into alignment with what was always meant for you. This is not the end of your journey, it is the moment you finally stepped onto your true path. You turn away from the window and breathe out slowly, letting everything settle into place. There is no rush, no pressure, no fear. Only a steady confidence that tomorrow will meet you with new opportunities and that you will meet tomorrow with new strength. You walk over to where the message lies and gently close it, as a ritual of completion. It no longer feels like a mystery. It feels like a promise. And promises are meant to unfold in time, one step at a time, one choice at a time, one brave moment at a time. You turn off the light, and the room falls into darkness, but you walk forward anyway, because you have learned tonight that darkness is not something to fear, it is simply the canvas upon which new light is born. You feel it inside you now, a quiet glow that will guide you into the days to come. The millionaire's final wish did more than give you an inheritance. It awakened you, it validated you, it reminded you of your destiny, and it prepared you to rise. As you lie down to rest, you feel a fullness in your chest, the kind that comes only when a soul has said yes to its higher purpose. Sleep finds you gently, not as an escape, but as a well-earned pause before the dawn of a new chapter, and just before you drift into dreams, you hear a soft whisper in your spirit, clear and comforting.